everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Autistic Voice Project. I'm Matt Lowry, coming at you from Kentucky,
I'm Dr. Erin Finley coming at you from Napa, California.
and tonight we have a very special guest who is joining us from. Where are you coming from?
Texas.
Texas. Oh
Yeah.
man, no, that's a tough place these days. So we
Mm.
have Tiffany Hammond from Fidgets and Fries and A Day with No Words, and we are going to be talking about all kinds of neat stuff tonight. So yeah, I hear that you took Tylenol then, huh? Is that where it all came from?
It could have. It could have. Could have been.
Yeah,
Could have
I
been
I,
haven't
that.
I,
asked my mom if she took Tylenol.
I,
I haven't even.
I needed to top off the autism earlier today in order to,
Mm.
get through all of the stuff. I had some trains to count, so I needed to
Yeah,
level up a little bit. So,
nice, nice.
yeah.
Excellent.
We did a special episode and recorded it a while back to talk about all this madness. Tell us about your opinions on it because on Fidgets and Fries, that is your platform.
Okay.
You have been going into a lot of detail about things. Tell us about all this because I, our dear listener, I am
Mm-hmm.
assuming that they come at this from a perspective where they realize that every time we mention the Tylenol, it's tongue in cheek because we are joking at the expense of people who are incredibly ignorant and blaming a very complex neuronal processes on something absurd. But who knows? There might be somebody tuning in from the outside that says, "Oh yes, I want to learn more about Tylenol." The, this is not the right place for that. But tell us about this. What is your take on all this?
I know the first thing was like I remember. I don't know if it was like last week or a week and a half ago or something. I remember writing something about not giving all of my energy to like responding to anything that this administration was doing because I felt like I was
Yeah.
giving so much of it to like what they were doing every day. It was like something like new and something ridiculous,
Oh
and
my
they
God, there's so much.
yeah,
The
it was
bizarre chaos.
exactly, and they were like just topping it and topping it. So I was like, okay, and I was good for like 10 days or so, and, and
Yeah, that
then
lasted.
do it
Yeah.
again, and it was just like it was so interesting because you knew what they were going to announce before they announced it. Like you could hear like whispers about it, or I don't want to say they were rumors because they kind of like hinted at it,
Mm-hmm.
a few months ago or whatever. But just to see them like like get up on a press conference and just put it out there, just like and how they presented it and what they said and how they I don't want to say they misinterpreted the science. It just feels because it feels
Because
so
that
more
would mean that there's
deliberate.
some interpretation there at all.
Yeah,
Right.
it feels really like calculated and deliberate
Yeah.
with
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
what they're like
Totally
doing.
agree with that.
And so it was just one, it was outlandish to make the claim that we're gonna find the cause of autism by September, or and we're gonna
Yeah.
have like that was outlandish to begin with. And I think as it started to approach that like deadline, it was just like that was also let me hold and go and grab onto something like just real quick. And I think that also played like a role too. It was like, oh, here we have these little claims that are here, and okay, let's go and say this. And then oh, we have these cases of you know children taking Leucovorin. I don't know if I said that right.
Well,
But
he can't say acetaminophen, so
okay,
we're
okay,
on
good.
equal ground. Yeah.
No, we're good. I don't know. I don't know how to
Yeah.
pronounce any of these things. I can't even pronounce my own meds that I take. So
You know what I can pronounce though? Release the goddamn Epstein
Yeah.
files.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah,
go on.
seriously, I like
I can
Yeah.
pronounce that.
where those like but it's just I didn't want to write anything about it because I felt like everybody else was like they were gonna have like it was gonna be like a lot of um shares about it, videos about it, chats about it. Um, but then as like I started reading everybody's stuff, and I'm not saying like that I felt like they put out good things and stuff, but I was like, it didn't really like, or maybe I was just, my timeline was different. But
Because the
Carefully
algorithm
cultivated.
never shapes what we
they
see.
never show you the good
Yeah.
stuff, Everybody shared good things. They just didn't
Right.
approach it in the way that I thought it should have been approached or it could be approached. So I was like, dang, I guess I gotta write something. And or being in these, because I'm still, and I mentioned this yesterday when I did a live, a virtual talk. I'm still in like quote unquote severe autism groups. I'm still in non-verbal autism groups, the groups that I've signed up with when my kid was diagnosed at like age of 2 or something.
Yeah,
Like, I'm still
because your
in
son is
those.
non-speaking.
Yeah, I'm still in those groups. But I don't post anymore. I haven't posted in like decade or more. But I still sit in there and I still read and I still want to see like what are they going through, what are they feeling, what issues matter to them the most, and
And
so
by the way, highly
yeah.
recommended for all of us to do that, because we
Yeah.
need, as autistic self advocates and as the autistic community, we need to learn about the experiences of people who are autistic who have experiences who are not like us. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're good. That was a good point. I want to do that. Like I'm trying to like see, where everybody's like coming from. So I just sit and I read and I watch and I listen. And I think it was probably the 8th or 9th post that I seen that was a parent asking, how much dose should I give of my kid of this the Corvarin? What are the side effects that y'all have seen? What is it? And I'm like, oh God. Then I seen other posts, and I'm on my personal Facebook page and I'm just scrolling and I see some of my friends on there or people I've met along the way, like showing pictures of them throwing out all their Tylenol, and I'm just like, you're not pregnant. Like, you're not even getting pregnant soon. Your kids are older than mine. Like, so I'm just sitting there like, so it was like a lot. And I was like, oh crap. Okay, maybe I'll write something. I only plan on writing one thing. And then it's like kind of like ballooned into probably like 3 or 4 posts. And it was just like, I just was like, let me like shove down any like anger that I may feel or anything like that. So I'll always like try and be like, I'll write whatever comes to my head as it comes to my head. So a lot of my posts start off real angry. I'm like cussing it in and it's everything. Y'all get the like pretty version. And it cycles through like I have a lot of reads. Like I go through it and I like sit on it and I go back and I rewrite it and I'm like, okay, this one doesn't sound good. This isn't, like, I don't want to run people off, but I do want to be, I don't want to say firm in my stance, but it's the only word I have at this moment. It like is to be, I want, there to be some base behind like my position. I don't want to scare
Which is better than the competition.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to reach them, because one of the things that I feel like a lot of advocates in our space, I think that what a lot of them overlook is how easy it is for so many parents that have children like my oldest to run straight into the arms of somebody like an RFK or Trump or whatever. And we almost make it easy for them. And I'm not saying like it's our fault or anything. It's just that they feel so, a lot of them are like isolated, alone. They feel like they don't connect to any of our experiences. They're thinking, well, you know, your child's not quite like mine, and I'm going through this, and I'm experiencing this, and I don't have help in this way, and you know, and I get it. Like I definitely understand the lack of resources in living in areas where you don't have any uh care, any like we've lived in areas where there was nothing
Yeah.
like for miles and miles and miles. And I'm in Texas. So like that's ours. Like I we've had to drive 5 hours just for my kids to go to dental appointments. And and,
Mm.
Yeah.
and, and so it's we I understand that, but a lot of times they they are pushed so far into like this isolation, and then like first I'm in those groups still, but I'm in other groups as well. So many parents are just in those groups, so they're
Yeah.
not talking to
Yeah.
anybody else. They're not, getting a lot of, different, like diverse perspectives and experiences and stuff. They're just in those groups. And so anytime somebody pops up and they even mention autism that seems similar to their kids, they latch onto that. It doesn't even matter what's said. Like so they're like so many of those posts, it was like, well, at least they're mentioning autism. And I was like, and y'all are like thinking that's progress. So they're equating that with
Yeah.
progress. And I'm like, just because they mentioned it, but
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
slashing your kids' Medicaid, and they're
And that's,
well,
yeah.
Right.
And this is the thing that for the past several months, I expected Kennedy to go after vaccines because he is notoriously
Yeah.
anti-vaccine. But just a few, maybe a month ago, somebody asked him, "Would you nominate Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize for Project Warp Speed or Operation Warp Speed for the COVID vaccine?" And like, does COVID, does the COVID vaccine cause autism? If all vaccines cause autism, so he was put in this bind where he needed to appeal to this base that says, "Ah, yes, something causes autism because red dye 40 or whatever nonsense of the week."
Hmm.
And he
Hmm.
couldn't do that anymore because Trump really wants a Nobel Prize because Obama got one. So he couldn't do vaccines anymore, and he had to go for whatever else was there. So this is his base looking for a scapegoat instead of like all of these moms who say, "Yes, my child has all these difficulties," instead of saying, "I had a lot of those difficulties myself, and it must be this outside factor that caused all this," instead of it's related to me, but a different expression in my child, because it can be both, where they have difficulties, they have a lot of difficulties raising a kid who's autistic when they're also autistic, and
Especially when they don't know.
exactly, because again, you see this very intense presentation. Like we've talked before about how my son is a Gestalt language processor, and he didn't speak for many years, and even when he did, it was in Peppa Pig quotes, and he's very very different from how I present because I can mask and pretend to be a normal, and you know it's one of those things, but there's a lot of people, especially if you have a lot of pressure to help an autistic kid survive in a world that hates and fears us. That
yeah,
can be a lot of pressure.
yeah, it
Hmm.
is. And so it's so many things. It's so complex. It's your internal world, it's your external world. It's like all of these things just you working together and like mixing and pulling on one another and influencing each other, and it can be so incredibly challenging, and that's why we need a lot more support and
Yes.
awareness and understanding and acceptance and resources and access, and and it we need all of this. We need true inclusion. We need like
Yes.
so many things, and we cannot, be satisfied with someone saying or even just mentioning autism. That can't be
Yeah.
what you've
Right.
like
That's
your
not good enough.
goal. And then
Yeah.
that's like the biggest thing for me. And I was like, even if Tylenol causes autism, and it don't, but even if it did, that's all they gave you. They just said Tylenol
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
Corcoran. That's all they gave you. They are sitting there and they, like they said, they gutted special education. Damn near
Yeah.
bare bones. They're going to warehouse your children instead of educating them. They
Yeah.
have, cut Medicaid. They, they're slashing like so many programs, so many things already. Programs and stuff that are hanging on by a thread to begin with.
Yeah.
And you're good with Tylenol? Like that was what it was. So
Right.
like it's not, they didn't even give you anything. They're not trying to
Well,
help.
one of the things that Trump is so good at, and it's like the one thing I'll give him credit for. He is really good at distracting people from what matters.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
The
And
random
so,
chaos smoke bombs.
yeah, exactly. He knows how to draw the audience's eye, and in this case, that is absolutely working against us as a country, I believe, and it's preventing us from seeing, or if it's not preventing us, it's making us have to work a lot harder to stay focused on what actually matters, because there's so many bombs going off everywhere, philosophically speaking. Not so much literally, as far as I'm aware.
Although by the time this airs, who knows? We're recording this on October 1st, when the government just shut down because we're trying to keep Medicaid and Medicare, like we're saying, because there's a disproportionately high number of autistic people and disabled people on Medicaid and Medicare that they would prefer us just, die. But by the time this airs, who knows? There could be all kinds of chaos happening.
Yeah, and it's so disheartening to have to wade through all of the noise to find, and to pay attention to what's really important.
Yeah.
Like, let's make sure that we have Medicare. Let's make sure they do count on it. They are doing it on purpose, and they're counting on it.
They're good at it. And like
it is
said,
the strategy. It's a feature, not a bug.
They're good at it. He's Trump is very, very, very good at that. The art of distraction, he's very, very good at. It's starting with provocation. Make these bold, like, controversial statements that'll dominate the headlines. So now all the news outlets are just like focus on that. Or he'll reframe something, so he'll redirect the question that he doesn't want to answer to something else, or
right,
just creating like multiple like storylines that like the critics and media like we're just busy reacting to things, like we're just keep on like reacting, like right when you're like responding to one thing, here comes another thing, and here comes another thing, and then here comes, and then personal attacks, of course, and and he'll dig into that, and you're spending so much time having to push back on that and having to fight back on that. You're just like, holy cow, and
right.
I think that's what's, for myself personally, I think that's what's very challenging in having the conversations surrounding, Tylenol and Leucovorin. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Is because,
well, it doesn't matter. People know what you're talking about.
Like, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
And we'll put it in the show notes if it's not.
Yeah, like the biggest thing that is like,
that's what show notes are for.
Yeah, she's not saying that right. No, like in the bottom, like, but yeah, it's that what has been hard for me in talking about this is because there are so many families that are struggling, and you can hear that in there.
Yeah.
So when they come across and when they say, oh, well, not everybody, is able to be a self advocate, or there's a lot of people that are self injurious, or they're eloping, or they're like,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, yeah, okay, there are families that are having it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say more difficult because I have a child that is a lot like me in many ways, and I also have a child who a whole lot of people, as soon as he walks into the room, they assign as being severe. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
my youngest, the one who is like me, he has struggled immensely and greatly, and just like I
Mm-hmm.
did when I was growing up. So it's one of those things where it's like I want to have more. I want to have like nuanced conversations, about this. I want to push back on the harmful like rhetoric and claims and language, and not treating autistic all of the autistic people as worthy and capable and valuable, and but I also want to acknowledge the challenges that everyone
Mm-hmm.
can have, and their caregivers and their parents can have as well, trying to. Yeah, so it's just trying to find like I gotta try and find the balance, and that's also what I'm thinking about is like, how can I find the balance in talking about this? How can I find it and get it? And be able to
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that, okay, your your experience, your path, your journey has been incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult. And I want to be able to say that I understand that and I get it. And can we have a real conversation about how we can better support you and your loved one,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
without, dehumanizing them? Because I think that's one of the most frustrating things in advocacy
Yeah.
is this belief that if we talk about people and our experiences in the most humanizing and types of ways, that's going to get us care, and that's going to get us support, and that's going to and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work that way. So you like categorizing your child as destroyers of lives, and never going to
Yes.
be able to do this or that, or and that doesn't inspire people that don't understand much about autism to want to help you now. You just kind of scared
Yeah.
them.
Right.
But then you also
Yeah.
kind of put this
Right.
idea in your head, well, what's the point in educating them if they'll never learn? And what's the
Well,
point
and I
in
think a
getting
lot of
this?
times,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
it,
I was. Yeah.
sorry. I think a lot of times too, what happens is um, the parents of kids who are really struggling and who don't know how to help and support their kids, they they are so scared, and then they describe things in really strong terms to try to evoke care. But instead, what happens is exactly what you're talking about. The kids get dehumanized, and there becomes this schism between who the person is, who the kid is, and like this condition that is taking away your kid, or whatever that Autism Speaks advertisement was forever ago. And instead of the parents getting the support that they need, so that they're not scared of their kid
Yeah.
or what their kid is doing, or because they're struggling to understand and they just don't get it, right?
And,
And it's like, can we help support you can we help support your kid as a social structure around them so that nobody has to be scared and that your kid is just different and that's okay.
Yeah, and this is the thing that we are talking about earlier about the commodification of suffering,
Oh yeah.
because we live in a very interesting world where you have there's this belief, and again, it's rooted in puritanical traditions of yes, our religious figurehead suffered, so therefore everyone must suffer because that is the way to righteousness via suffering. So you have to suffer a socially acceptable amount in order to be acknowledged as worthy of support, worthy of acknowledgement, worthy of anything. So
And
if you're
also in a socially acceptable way, not just amount,
yes,
but
yes,
socially
because you can't
acceptable
suffer in
way.
a socially unacceptable way. Because if
Right.
you suffer with, like, I don't know, a drug problem, then oh
Right.
my, no, that's the wrong kind of suffering. You can't do that because we can't help you at all. We
Morals.
don't want to help that. You
Mm-hmm.
have to suffer in a very pleasant way with a very pleasant smile on your face, preferably very symmetrical, preferably like I don't know, like a Make a Wish kid who has cancer or something. That is a
Right.
socially acceptable way of suffering, and they say, "Oh yes, let us grant the wish." But if the kid, becomes 19 or so, that no longer quite as socially appealing, they just left to their own devices. And this is the thing, like with autism, because if you're able to say, "Ah, yes, this is a way that my child is suffering," or "This is the way that I'm suffering," or because if you're quote unquote capable of masking, you could just pull yourself up by bootstraps and
Mm-hmm.
just suffer
Yeah.
through it. And why can't you just not take Tylenol during pregnancy and suffer a little
Suffer
bit
through the
more?
pain.
Because it's your decision to not suffer that has plagued you with the tism. I say very sarcastically in the event that an AI transcription puts this out there and thinks that I am being literal with any of this. But that's the bizarre thing about this, because this meritocracy of suffering, I don't understand it. Because if we just had a more humane approach to everyone has needs, we have near infinite resources available to the world. It's just very selectively directed, and we
Yeah.
could take care of human beings on a human level, but here we are.
Yeah, that yeah was a good way to put it.
That would be great.
Yeah, I remember I wrote it was probably Substack. Well, I remember writing something that was uh awareness awareness doesn't demand suffering as proof,
Yes,
and it was
yes,
like, you know, it was like pointing out that awareness itself is already whole, right? It doesn't, need hardship to validate its existence. Like, it's the awareness is primary. It's there before you experience something. It's there during. It's there after. Um, and it's incidental. It can act as a teacher, but it's not a gatekeeper. If
yeah,
that makes sense, and
Mm-hmm.
and presence without pain. So joy, beauty, um, laughter, stillness, they're all equally valid doorways into awareness. Like, we don't have to just sit in, a pocket of suffering.
yeah,
But suffering
Right.
is also something that humans experience. We do all experience it, and that, unfortunately is a part of being human. That we are
Right.
going to struggle with every single
Right.
person, regardless of neurotype and regardless, of, our circumstances. And we're all going to know a struggle of some kind. It's just we don't have to live in that that pocket and in that space, and we definitely don't have to define other human beings by their struggles and stuff, because they like I said earlier, it does not inspire people to act and
Yeah.
to move.
Right.
And for some reason we think that it does. If I tell you, that my my child, or my loved one, or someone, they have the mind of a 2-year-old, and they're 30, and they can't do this or do that, and I can't do anything, and I can't go anywhere, and they're just very hard, and they're very challenging, and they're very difficult, and you're telling this to a room full of people who don't know anything about uh, about autism or whatever disability that you're talking about, and you're wanting them to care more,
Yeah.
and over the
Mm-hmm.
years I've learned that people require more, and they want
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than you telling them all of the ways that not only they're suffering but you're suffering, and people are more inspired to act when they feel like they're being part of a solution, or a part of something that is moving towards a goal. And like a lot of times we don't think about that um
Yeah.
in people, but yeah, they're more likely to want to advocate for your support and resources and accommodations and materials and whatever else that you need, if they realize and they know that this is going to help you in some way, or
Yeah.
help your
Mm-hmm.
child in some way. But if you sit there
Right.
telling them that they can't do anything, and they're not ever going to do anything, they're going to be like,
Right.
well, why are we advocating for more resources to go over here if
Yeah.
this person is not ever going to do anything?
Yeah, and it's like that whole RFK when he first came into it, like they'll never play baseball or pay taxes,
Yeah.
and it's
Wow.
very
I
very
want my tax money back.
yeah, it's very dehumanizing, and this is the
Yeah.
thing about like inclusion and making autistic people of all abilities part of a community, because when you see the spark of humanity in someone, you value them instead of just saying, oh, well, they certainly are a bummer, are they not? I'm just going to go and, I don't know, play Fortnite. I don't know what normal people do. I
Watch
Yeah.
TV, probably.
yeah. There's an episode of The Bachelor on or something somewhere, so I don't know what normies do. I've,
Yeah.
This thing that we're talking about too, I mean, it happens in other arenas too, and I want to highlight that for our darling listener who might not be autistic, who might be perhaps supporting an autistic person. Like this
while
may
watching
happen
The Bachelor tonight. Who knows?
while watching The Bachelor tonight. I don't know, or The Bachelorette if that's your flavor.
Yeah.
But like I work a lot with couples, and I see this happen so often between couples where one person, like, all they do is complain about their job. All they do, and their partner's like, well, then why don't you freaking leave, right? And the reality is, all that complaining, it doesn't evoke empathy from their partner. It just makes the partner more and more frustrated. So like that's another example of this same thing at work.
Yeah.
So in case you, our darling listener who is not autistic, is not sure if this thing is a thing, it's a thing. And you've probably seen it in your own life.
And
So
if you
anyways.
want, we can send you Tylenol so you can better enjoy the chicken nuggets
Also,
with us.
you could upgrade, yeah.
Yeah. And this is the thing about like the social media and the constant outrage that social media generates, because it generates this perpetual outrage without the desire for change of the system, because people are constantly outraged that things happen and that things exist without any means, plan, or drive in order to make things better, without
Because
the
there's
awareness
no
of how.
connection.
Exactly. It's just, I can't believe that the stories about, oh, there's litter boxes in classrooms. I'm very angry about that. It's generated specifically to cause
Right.
the outrage. And
Right.
I think that this is part of the whole smokescreen and the distraction stuff, because I, I would really hope that anybody would realize that this whole Tylenol thing is just a sham, but it provides a very convenient outlet for the outrage without going into why aren't we doing more for Medicaid, Medicare, healthcare in general, reimbursing services that really matter, doing community things, building community, seeing people as human beings, see and appreciating differences, doing the whole equity thing, because they're very much trying to gut all of these inclusivity things that society's built up over the decades, and this is a very convenient smokescreen from all of it.
Yeah, you had a lot of very
Yeah,
good
exactly.
points. It's a it's like I think that's one of the things that like I learned from I guess like the very beginning when I first came online and I started like advocating like doing like online everything. I think I was settling into this pattern of sharing like everybody else did. So everything was like so academic, and you got your graphs and your charts and your little slogans and your cute graphics and all these other things. And I was like, ooh, I was doing that for a while, but it wasn't me. But I was doing it, but eventually it was just like I learned that stories are the best teachers, and I just need a way to like connect with just like a sliver of somebody, and their experience, and we could go somewhere. We can make something happen if I could do that. Um, so
Hmm.
one of the more challenging things that I have with some parents is that they take I don't want to say they take the easy route, but it is easy. Like if you just go throughout your day and you just describe what your kid does the whole day, and then you just share it online. And I was like, that was pretty easy. That's you just wrote that, you're like, oh, my kid did this, and he poop smeared, and he did this and he did that, and just a play by play, like that was easy. Um, and I was like, I'll never choose the easy route to share. I'll choose the harder route to share. Like sharing, my kids as these whole human beings that, you know, are deserving of respect and dignity and support. Um, and so when I I used to when I did comment in groups and and go and talk to like parents on their pages and stuff, I was like, okay, so we went through this entire post and all of these things that is wrong, and um I don't want to say they complained about, but it was wrong, and it was a struggle, and it was complicated. And I'm like, so what is it that you feel that you need? What will help you get through
Yeah.
this? What
Yeah.
will
Right.
what kind of support do you feel that if you had would make this day a bit easier for you and for your child? And it's almost like
Hmm.
nobody's ever asked you that before. And then once
Yeah.
they sit and they think about it and they write out all these words, like of what it is that they needed. And so I was like, that's the words you use when you go and
Yeah.
you talk about, you know, this challenging day. You don't start with autism one today. That's like one of the ones that the big ones, and
Yeah.
like just use these words, all of these words, and I would used to say that to parents who would just be like, oh, my child is low functioning, and I'm like, well, why would you say that? How about you tell
Yeah.
me about your son in without using this word. What is he like? What is he not
Right.
like? What
Right.
is it? And then I'm like, you or or better yet, define what you think or what you're telling me that this means, and like what low functioning to you means. And I guarantee you, and I'm telling you, and I kid you not, like 9 times out of 10, they talked about their child so much better than they did when they just gave you 2 words. I was like, why did you use these words? Like this
Yeah, exactly.
better. Like it was like so
Right.
much better. They would like explain like any the struggles that they were having. It explained, how they moved from one place to another, how their transitions weren't the best, and how they did. Where'd you
Mm-hmm.
use these words? Like, so I'm like,
Right. They're
y'all
so
have
much more meaningful.
that's what I'm saying. Like, y'all have
And
the vocabulary. Like, let's use it.
this
Yeah.
is the big difference because we tend to be the bottom up processors versus the Allistics who are the top down processors. We tend to see all these individual things and say, yes, we had an issue with this. This was good. This was rough. Didn't want to do this at all. All of these things, and it's a much more nuanced take on all of this stuff versus what a burden that was. And it's so easy to use that top down approach to dehumanize and to just distill things down to autism won today, and instead of saying, yeah, today was a complicated day because my child is a complicated human being who does complicated human being things.
And by
And
the way, I'm complicated too, and sometimes my complication clashes with my child's complications.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
All the time.
I love my son to death. Sometimes he likes to stand behind me and talk very loudly. I have to wear headphones. I love him. I have to have my own accommodations because I've got the sensory stuff going on. Sometimes he will be like, I choose not to eat today. And I'm like, child, CPS will arrest me and you might die. Please eat something. No, I choose not to eat. And then we must battle. And then, we must have chicken nuggets or at least a Pop-Tart or something because Belly needs food. These are the complexities of dealing with two human beings that have disparate needs with a communication barrier because we can't just telepathically, put thoughts into someone else's head. We have to find some way to translate the electricity in our meat brains through our meat tongue to waggle the air and to waggle the ear bones in somebody else that translates it back into electricity. It's a wonder we do anything at all. And especially if you have someone who is non-speaking, if someone who has difficulty choosing words, if someone who has apraxia or any of these
Or situational
challenges.
mutism.
Yes. Finding ways to effectively communicate and to describe why you want someone else to do a thing that you want them to do, or PDA, all of these things. It
Mm-hmm.
makes interactions really complex. And that is the weird thing about the humans. The humans are some weird creatures. They're all messed up monkeys, and we just got to deal with it some way.
But there is a great book out there now that I've heard about going through the day without words.
A day without
And
words, you say?
a day without words, I say, and
What kind of day
perhaps
could that be? And I wonder
perhaps
who would
someone
have such a day.
here might know something about that and could share with us. Maybe. What do you think?
So, yeah. So, I have a book called Day.
That is for the listeners. Tiffany just volunteered to talk about this. A day without words.
Yeah.
Yes, the book she wrote with her son, Aiden.
Yeah. So, I wrote a book. It's called A Day with No Words, and it's on pre-order right now. It came out originally in 2023, but it was only on shelves for about 6 months or so. It was a instant New York Times bestseller, #1, and
Nice.
yeah. So I'm blessed with the opportunity to re-release it again. I am super excited about that, and that it will not go like out of stock again, and so people will be able to get it. it's a book about the bond that I have with my son, um, and that I wanted to try to understand him and his world a little bit better. So these are days that, you know, my family communicates as he communicates, and he uses a tablet. And I had to build my way up to using it just as he did. Um, but yeah, we go out in the community. I don't talk to anyone. I use a tablet just as he does. I used to type the stuff, but then I was like, okay, if I want to go like fully into it, he's using only the pictures, so I want to use the pictures too. So it was just me using the images, the icons, and I learned so much on those days. I learned much about myself. I learned a lot about my son, and those are days we just kept doing, and we still do them to this day. Um, yeah, and I'm excited about it coming out, and it's super
Yeah.
cool. So if you don't have it, please get it. Esther, I would love
When
that.
will it be re-released, and where will it be released, and can we put a link in the show notes?
Yeah, so you could go to adaywithnowords.com, and I have a link that will take you to multiple different retailers, so you can choose your favorite one. Um, there also will be a audio book, and that's on pre-order right now as well.
Woohoo! I
Uh,
was just about to ask that.
yes, and I think I shared a snippet of it on social media of how it sounds, and it's so awesome. Um,
Nice.
there's also ebook as well, and all of those are going to come out the same day, same time. Um, and yeah, davenorwords.com. And then also, if you pre-order now, you can go and there's a little form you can fill out your order number from wherever you got it from, and you can get some downloadable pre-order gifts. So there's like 3 different postcard designs, there's bookmarks, there's a signed bookplate, personal author letter, and then we put together this like Hammond family pack. So it has a bunch of like some recipes in there that we like to make as a family. There's some behind the scenes photos of us, um, and then there's a bunch of activities that you can do with your family that can, you know, demonstrate, you know, other ways of communicating without speech. And yeah, it's I'm excited. And yeah, and it comes out on the 4th of November. So
Oh, nice.
so
Oh,
yeah.
wow, that's very close.
Very
Yes.
good.
That's like a
So
month and 3 days from when we're recording, and by the time this airs, it may already be out, or people listening to it in the future can go ahead and order it right now because you live in the future. We're in the past, which is currently the present because time is weird like that. So yes,
Yes, exactly that.
that's awesome.
Exactly
That's awesome.
that.
so that will be very cool, and yeah, I will definitely get a copy because that is awesome. It is neat to be able to find that sort of joy because we need that, especially as families, especially with, again, it's weird to have waggly air be the only method of communication. We need new stuff, so I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. I like that. Made me feel good on the inside. No, no, I'm just really excited for that book. I never thought I would write kids books because I talk about so many heavier like content, and so I was like, once I wrote that one, I was like, oh crap, I kind of like it. So then I wrote a second one, but that doesn't come
Yeah.
out
Don't
till
you have like 3 more?
I got a second one coming out winter 2027, and that one
Oh wow,
is
Okay.
you're planning way ahead.
oh yeah, that it takes a while for the publishers and the artist has to draw it, and then it takes longer for picture books to print than
Mm-hmm.
novels with no pictures, and then they also got to look at their
Mm-hmm.
their publishing schedule, so they don't want to have too many books kind of coming out at the same time. So I got the winter 2027 slot, and it's like beginning of year winter, not end of year winter.
Like
So
January,
January,
not
February,
yeah.
Marchish. We haven't landed on a solid date for that, but I'm excited about that one. It's called How Do You Spell Belong, and it journeys with
Ooh.
Aiden's communication with spelling, and he's still using the AAC, but it's going to be him and his dad. And so, like, I'm so excited.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
cool.
Yeah, I'm going through all the
That's
family
awesome.
members. So, like, me, Aiden, and then this one,
Nice.
Aiden, dad, and then the one I'm writing with his brother is going to be him and brother. So, like, together. So, and then I
Nice.
think once I round
Nice.
out, you know, that, I'll move on to other books. But yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
really neat to have the entire family in book form. That's
Yeah.
that's super cool.
I was like, oh my
It
god,
is.
y'all are going in a book. Like, and so I don't know. I just woke up one day and I was like, oh yeah, I'll put everybody's going in a book. And then that's how it occurred. Like the first two
I love that.
were easy to write because it was like based on real life like situations. But then when I started working on the third one with my youngest, he was like, we went a whole different route. It's like fiction and trying to make up different worlds and stuff. So he's very different, but it's a good different. But yeah, I'm excited to be able to do that
Nice.
and be able to share about autism in a different way. So, well, I don't say a different way, but in a way that doesn't, characterize it as doom and gloom and, and burdens and stuff. And I just wanted to put something out there that like celebrated, autistic people and their experiences and stuff. Yeah.
I
That's
think
awesome.
so often people who don't have an experience, whatever that experience is, whether it's autism or gender or racial or whatever, like we don't necessarily know how to start getting into the world of another person, or we might not even realize we need to get into like what is the world like for you or for me. And the more
Because there's this multiple empathy problem where people
Well,
look at people and say, I can read your brain because I have superior brain reading powers, and I will make
Exactly.
up your life in my head, and I'm cool with that. But yes,
Yeah,
please continue.
yeah, so it's so neat to have ways to start to experience even just a little bit, or to get acquainted with just a little bit of somebody else's world, right? Because that's how we build the empathy. That's how we build the connection. That's how we build the desire to support, right? I've seen this, I've been a follower of your page for years and years. And by the way, I'm very secretly trying not to totally fangirl all over you. I'm trying to be very cool. So I hope it's working. But I've been watching this journey, and seeing how many people are like, oh my God, this book is amazing. It helps me understand my kid. It helps me understand the experience of other people. I'm getting it for my kindergarten classroom. I'm getting it for, like, to see how much has just blossomed out of your work, Tiffy. I mean, I'm gonna fangirl. I'm sorry. Oh my God, you're amazing.
Thanks.
Oh my God, you're amazing.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm not even in my body right now. Like I never like expected this from the moment I wrote my first like post online. I guarantee y'all are not gonna. The very first post I wrote online, it was, man, F these people. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right?
That's how I got my start.
That was like 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. It was like, F these people. And it was the people I was working with in real life and in advocacy efforts. And it was just, but that was it. I've grown a lot as a person, a lot better
Well, yeah. I
than I
mean,
used to be.
that's what happens, right?
Yeah, grown up, I'm a little better, a little better. I write kids'
Hmm.
books now, y'all. Family page.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's, Erin can attest. She was there when I started, and
Yes.
yeah, every other post was just me complaining about someone doing things poorly, and you know, like conjecturing what sort of feces they had instead of a brain. Like one does. But yes, gradually getting into the family friendly market of perhaps we could do this in a different way. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, well
Yeah.
done. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It's going to be cool books. Yeah, you're a cool person, and I would like to have you back. Not just to
Yes.
rant about all the things that will inevitably come down the pike, because we'll definitely have you back for that. But also come back and share books, because
Yeah.
man, I love books.
And other fun things. Like there's so many topics we could talk about, and if you need me to review your posts and be like, "Oh, Tiffy, let's talk about this one," I'm happy to do that.
Yes, I would love that. And I would love to be back on. This was awesome and fun and
Oh well,
great.
sir, we're so glad to have you.
Thanks for
Seriously.
having me.
You are always welcome.
Yay.
But we will call this a night for our special double-sized episode of the Autistic Voice
Yes,
Project.
we sure did.
Tune in again, and we will see what shenanigans we can get up to.
All right.
You all have a good one.